Hello Megacanners, this is Conrad from Megan's Megacan. Just wanted to say, if you'd like to contribute to our Patreon, you can do so on patreon.com/Megan's Megacan, because Megacans don't come for free these days. Well, we do, but the actual cocktails in cans don't. We'd be most grateful. Thank you very much. On with the show. The season of Jesus-bothering holidays is upon Germany, so the Megacanners honour the upcoming Pentecost by imbibing an appropriately sacred beverage, a Gordon's G&T. Meanwhile, the AfD begins to see the light about Russia, as does Merz about Netanyahu. A bit late to the party, lads, I'm afraid the buffet's all gone. And there's some actually quite good news from the German courts. Hallelujah.
In Berlin's heart, where news is unveiled, Megan and Conrad with German tales. The German news, it's tough to bear, but with Megacanners, they're ready to head. Conrad, daily news at hand. Megan feels to spare time to crack those cans. With each sip she takes, the Meg is her shield, but will it last the news? 'Cause that was the deal.
Hello, everyone.
Hello.
It's time for another... No, that worked quite well. It's time for another episode of Megan's Megacan. I'm Megan. I'm here in Berlin. Nice, sunny, warm Berlin with Conrad Werner. Hello, Conrad.
Hello again.
Hello again. How are you?
Yeah, good, yeah. Full of lentils this time. I just had a lentil
good.
salad.
Wow, you really are enjoying your pulses these days.
Pulses, yes,
Wow.
rich in protein. Yeah,
That's good.
I'm ready to go.
That's good. I'm very relaxed. I've had 2 days. I've got like a 5-day weekend. It's fucking brilliant.
Oh yeah, that's like
I
a whole
worked 2
week.
days this week. Like, let me, let's just do this every week. Except that it's very hard to find any time to do the things that need to be done in work. But anyway.
But you can't complain. You're a teacher. You have massive holidays. Everyone else got to work.
I can complain, and I will, because we work very hard, and there are teenagers everywhere, which, much as we love them, no one else wants to have teenagers in their work all the time. So,
No,
it's great. Today, we are going to drink. We've gone down to 250, because I really wanted a gin and tonic, a Gordon's gin and tonic, the best mega can of all time.
We had to compromise.
The best drink of all time. But maybe it's fine. Maybe we can just, here you go. Maybe we don't need the extra...
No, maybe we don't.
80 mil. It's quite a lot, isn't it, though?
We can have fun without those extra 80 millilitres.
I don't know. Yeah.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Here's to Friday.
It's just fucking delicious. I mean, I love a gin and tonic. It is my desert island drink.
The nectar of the gods.
The absolute nectar of the gods. Yeah, everyone go get yourself one of these. By appointment to the Queen. Still on it.
Okay. Soon.
Tanqueray Gordon and Company. So Tanqueray and Gordon are... Wow.
What's going on? Have you just realised that it's not really a competition between Gordon's and Tanqueray? They're actually the same company.
Did you know that already?
No.
Oh.
I didn't know that. Is that?
No.
I don't know. Yeah.
I wonder they also all Diageo. Everything is. But maybe not these guys. Anyway, it's delicious. Everyone should have some.
That's fine.
How have you been?
Great, yes. Don't have anything to add to the...
Good.
To the what I already said,
Good.
really.
Just trying to put off talking about the news.
I'm fine.
Walked in and I was like, do you have any good news, Conrad? Any good news for the people? Well,
and then I did find some.
We do have some.
Yeah.
Scraping the barrel.
Saving that to the end.
Yeah. Yeah. Keep people hanging in. Gripping, white knuckling through.
Yeah.
What are we starting with?
We are starting with the AfD's surprising U-turn on foreign policy.
Oh, wow.
It's very interesting. I promise it's very interesting.
Okay.
So
can I guess what it is? So foreign
Okay.
policy, I don't even want to play this game.
So up till now, well, the AfD has been generally known for being the most pro-Russian of the German parties.
Yeah.
And there have been several scandals linking AfD members and Bundestag members and MEPs to Russia.
Yeah.
And I mean, in one case, there's a guy called Petro Bistron who was accused of allowing a pro-Russian spy access to the Bundestag and receiving payments from a Russia-financed propaganda
outlet. Did he take him to that
outlet.
nice restaurant for brunch? The Kefir,
Yeah.
whatever it's called, Little Beetle. That's nice.
He basically let this guy into the Bundestag, who is now in custody in Poland for spying, for espionage, for Russia. Yeah, and this guy Petro Bistron he had his immunity suspended at the Bundestag, so he now represents the AfD in the European Parliament instead. He's still not in prison or anything, but he's had to bugger off to Brussels to avoid any more attention. And then there was our friend Maximilian Krah, who we also talked about. He has also been very noticeable in his pro-Russian stance, as has one of the two AfD leaders. He's called Tino Kruppala.
Yeah, I always forget that one because I'm so focused on...
Yeah, Alice Weidel is definitely the alpha of the two of them, but Tino is officially still the co-leader of the AfD. And he, in previous years, he's always been to the May 9th Victory Day celebrations at the Russian embassy, which is every year they commemorate the victory in the Second World War. And it's a big thing in Moscow. And this year, surprisingly, he has not been. He did not go. Not only that, Matthias Moosdorf, who was...
It sounds like you've put into ChatGPT, hey, what are some names of like middle-class neo-Nazis? And they're like, okay, well...
Matthias Moosdorf, who was until mid-May the foreign policy spokesperson for the AfD's parliamentary group.
We don't like it. Our foreign policy is we don't like foreign.
Yeah, we don't like foreign.
No, thank you.
He has been also one of the most prominent pro-Kremlin voices in the party. He accepted an honorary professorship at the Gnesin State Musical College in Moscow only about last year. This is only last year.
Up to their fucking oxters and this shit, aren't
He's a classical cellist. That's why he did that.
Fuck off. Get back to the cello, you.
And even last year, he was under pressure within the party. There's a growing realization that all these pro-Russia stories are actually not very good for the AfD's reputation. So what they did a couple of weeks ago is they essentially sacked Matthias Moosdorf. He's no longer the foreign policy spokesperson, and replaced him with someone who's a bit more pragmatic, also kind of pro-Russian, but he's cooled down a bit, but he's not as kind of mad as Matthias Moosdorf. And so I actually spoke to two AfD Bundestag members about all this.
You're always having to do this. And you're such a kind person. You're so lovely.
And this is what they told me. They said that, this is a conscious change of course down to what they call a more pragmatic approach to Russia's war in Ukraine.
Gotta love it when the populists get pragmatic.
I mean, this goes all the way through.
Pragmatic, exactly.
Well, they used to be able to. They were the ones that were in the last 2 years or 3 years. They were the ones who were always saying, "Oh, we have to negotiate with Putin," and now it seems, on top of all the negative stories with all the scandals and the spies and stuff, the AfD Bundestag members at least are starting to realise actually we can't. There's no negotiating with Putin. Like Putin clearly doesn't want to negotiate. Putin's not very keen on negotiating.
Welcome, late to the party.
So this guy I spoke to is called Rüdiger Lukassen, who's the AfD's new defence policy spokesperson. He told me that there has been a change in thinking of my colleagues who are very pro-Putin. It's an absolute disillusionment. And apparently, within the party, there was quite a lot of pressure on Tino Kruppala not to go to this Victory Day celebration in the Russian embassy, which he likes to do. What's also happened is because there's a lot more AfD members in the Bundestag because they did so well in the Bundestag election. There are a lot more from Western Germany. AfD used to be more dominated by Eastern German, and Eastern German people who grew up in Eastern Germany tended to be more sort of pro-Russian, anti-NATO by their socialization, and that's now changed. The Western German AfD members are more dominant now in the party. Alice Weidel is also from West Germany. Yeah, so I mean, it is a bit ridiculous because obviously I think they're just responding to
populist party
they're
abandons
kind of just
not core policy. Like basically these fuckers will do anything as long as it's not going to give up their core belief, which is white supremacy and Islamophobia.
And also they're a little bit more pro-American because Trump is in office in America, so they like America now. Did you hear about what, you heard what Marco Rubio said, Secretary of State?
What particular, what?
He accused the German authorities of tyranny.
Oh, because we don't want the Nazis to be taking too active a role in the...
Because we categorise the AfD as confirmed right-wing extremists.
Yeah.
Well, I say we, I mean the Bundesverfassungsschutz.
Us. Just us and our megacans doing the Lord's work for everyone here.
No, so according to Marco Rubio, we are also tyrants, you and me, on the megacan.
Thanks, Marco. You dick.
I mean, even though he doesn't know who we are. Yeah, so there's a bit of... I just thought you might want a bit of AFD updates.
Of course, I always want to talk about the AFD. It's so fucking predictable and boring and annoying, and also shows how dumb they are because they're so late to this party. The war in Ukraine, they invaded Ukraine in 2021.
22, I think.
22.
Yeah.
Yeah. Still, a long time ago.
Yes.
Zelensky was in town.
Yeah.
We don't know anything about that, but we just wanted to... I wish I'd had the chance to buy him a pint or give him a little mega, but they probably wouldn't have let me near him. Just going, Vladimir, you're doing all right. We're sorry that everyone's being mean.
I guess there's been like a bit of a discussion about Taurus missiles. So these are these long range.
I can't get my head around what.
So Merz basically said there's not going to be any restrictions on the range of weapons they deliver to Ukraine anymore, which suggests that they would deliver these so-called long-range weapons, which could strike deep into Russia from. But the thing is, these Taurus missiles still haven't been delivered in any case, and it's not even clear at this stage if Ukraine needs them anymore, because I guess the Ukrainian arms industry has done really well in the last few years, and has started
frantically with fuck all support while we pump.
And it's apparently it's the leading producer of drones now is Ukraine and all that stuff. So I guess it's a slightly different change in tone, but it's not really from the German government about these tourist things, because it was a huge issue for many years, and Merz was the one, when he was in opposition, he was the one who kept hounding Scholz about tourists and they should be delivered and everything. Yeah. And now
that he actually has to do it.
Now he's not actually done it yet, but he said he might, and it's not even clear if they really need these particular weapons. What they probably need more of are the defensive missiles that stop Russian drones. Those things. Yeah, there's that.
Okay.
What else?
Speaking of changes of tone and Merz and people also being incredibly late to supposedly realise these things, we had this week Friedrich Merz saying some stuff on public television which would get him branded as anti-Semitic.
Yeah, he said...
what do you have there?
Yeah, he said, it's a human tragedy and political catastrophe. This is an interview on VDR. Frankly speaking, I no longer understand what the goal of the Israeli army in the Gaza Strip is.
Which is being...
So he must be anti-Semitic, yeah?
Yeah, that's an anti-Semitism from what I understand, because the goal, as we all know, has been to take revenge from October the 7th, regardless of how many civilian and children's lives it destroys, which obviously has created a certain amount of controversy, but I think has been greeted quite well from the SPD, who've been coming kind of more and more vocal about an arms embargo.
Yeah, so Germany still delivers quite a lot of weapons to Israel. In fact,
that's good that Zelensky's still waiting. We're definitely on the right side of history here. As long as Benjamin is fucking getting his orders filled, that's grand.
So in 2024, there were 3.7 million euros worth of fighting vehicle components and 4.3 million euros worth of arms and ammunition were delivered to Israel from Germany. That's thanks to a new study that came out by Shadow World Investigations, because these usually it takes quite a few years for these numbers to come out, but this NGO, who I happen to know and I like them, they have come up with some numbers for last year. There you go. So it's mainly ammunition.
Well, how do you feel about Friedrich Merz now? Critical of Israel, going further than any CDU politician ever I would
or in
imagine.
fact any German. I mean, it's a bit. I mean, it is a bit of a change. I mean, it is important, and because I think also he was probably under a bit of pressure from Macron and from Starmer, who were also saying these things. And now we'll just have to see whether it actually has any effect on whether they sell more weapons to Israel. I think it's more the proof is in the pudding, as they say. Yeah, I mean, it's kind of, like Macron is calling for the recognition of the state of Israel, Palestine, and so.
Yeah, I don't know. The whole thing leaves a bad taste in my mouth. And it made me also then want to go and see, okay, well, if Friedrich Merz, the Chancellor, is now able to say these things in these terms, because we've also mentioned, and it's still happening, that artists and protesters and activists are being absolutely silenced in the most ridiculous ways. Kneecap is not coming to Germany this year, which I'm very cross about. I don't know if you saw on social media, but like a couple of weeks ago, there was another Irish band who had their gig cancelled in Gretchen between basically sound check gig because they basically refused. They always perform with a Palestinian flag. That wasn't allowed. I don't think what is happening to Kneecap now, and it's not really always connected to Germany. It's also like this terrorism charge that they've been laid on them because they talked about like...
Yeah, that was in the UK.
That's in the UK, and the pressure and the criticism that has been put on like 3 lads from Belfast who make... Yes, politicized, but like it is insane. So I also don't want to criticize. I also don't think then it's fair to heap the amount of criticism and scrutiny on like festival organizers. And like Gretchen, for what it's worth, they did put up a post explaining what had happened, and then another post saying that they'd really read all the comments, and it seemed relatively genuine. Like, we didn't understand. We're really sorry. Whatever. But this is now still the environment in Germany. The Nakba protest on the 15th of May was basically essentially banned. They weren't allowed to march, even though there'd been like legal action. There, it was allowed earlier in the day, and then by the afternoon had been like the police had appealed and it was cancelled again. And so people still kind of, they weren't allowed to march between Südstern and Hermannplatz.
And then the police just started beating people up again.
Well, there was a violence broke out, and there's this whole thing about this schwer verletzt, seriously injured police officer. I've watched the video. He broke his arm. That's not great. It's not even clear that he wasn't pulled by who pulled him down. And as this big armored fucking cop is being pulled away, there is looks like a young, small woman lying on the ground, surrounded by these police officers. It's like 50 arrests. The whole thing's fucking nuts. And it's like, okay, so Friedrich Merz can go on public television now and say there's no goal of this. It's a humanitarian catastrophe. Stop short of saying a genocide, but we're still going to beat the shit out of everyday people, cancel bans. And I feel we're still going to be in this position where we don't learn anything in Germany because the political class think because of their weird education about Erinnerungskultur, they think they are the ones to speak on anti-Semitism. And like, I've had middle-class Germans like talk to me in those terms and say, but we really understand.
Yeah.
And like, you were told what was going to happen and it's happened. And now fucking 2 years later, you're saying, oh, well, we don't want to, as Germany, we can't say too much, but we also have to take a moral stand. And it makes me feel gross. What I also find interesting, to bring capitalism into this a little bit. So Kneecap got kicked off their festival circuit. They're small, whatever. They weren't headlining. They're not a massive name maybe in Germany. The Murder Capital, obviously, they're playing Gretchen. That's like relatively small. But when I was reading about this, the article was saying this is also reminiscent of the Macklemore thing. So Macklemore, obviously massive headline artist at Deichbrand Festival this summer, apparently. I didn't know about this, obviously, until I read this, but like...
He's American.
He has also been under received huge criticism for in one of his videos, like been very outspoken about Palestine, and in one of his videos contrasting two images, like a kid in the Warsaw Ghetto and a kid in Gaza. And that has, but he's not being cancelled because that's a massive headline. Like, he's headlining that festival, and it's like a big... so do we pick and choose? And so long as it's like a little punk kid in Adidas or someone wearing a kufiya or in a headscarf, then we're going to hammer them. Because that's a different kind of pro-Palestine, where it's to do with the inherent, like this Islamophobic idea that all Muslims are inherently, like, a hatred of Jewish people is built into Islam, which, like, we have literally received books about this in school to help us teach these kinds of issues from the official Schule ohne Rassismus, which is bullshit anyway, organization, which is presumably government funded and everything. Like, that's an actual real thing that they talk about, because we can't seem in Germany to get our heads around the fact that Israel is problematic. And that is why a lot of people from the Arab and Muslim world find that problem, like, it's nuts. But we don't know anything about this. They have no idea of this history. They've no idea how Israel was created. None. But, I can't go and fucking see Kneecap in Columbia Halle. Fuck you. Fuck all of yous. Sorry.
No, that's nothing to apologise for. Yeah.
But some good news, and I'm getting a lot of this. I should shout out to this interview with like a Berlin lawyer who's been doing a lot of support of pro-Palestinian people, Alexander Gorski. He's interviewed in the Berliner. If you remember the Berlin Four, so the four...
Who is he?
So he's the lawyer.
Right.
Who's been working with... He was the one who was trying to get the Nakba Day protest allowed to march, and that kind of failed. But what they have been able to do is successfully block the deportation of the Berlin Four. So there's 4 people who have been charged by the Berlin authorities with very little evidence, just because they're basically active in pro-Palestinian actions, I guess. And there was this sort of like, basically the court has been like, there's not enough evidence to deport them. There's not really enough, so he's quite hopeful that it will be successful and no one's being deported as it now stands. But he does, of course, say, like the interview says, it's like, are you happy about this? And he's like, no, I'm not fucking happy about any of this. Anyway, that's my little update on who is allowed to be, air quotes, anti-Semitic in Germany these days. And
critical,
much like it's weird. They were the only ones who were allowed to recognize it before. Didn't matter if you were Jewish, didn't matter if you were Israeli. You're not a good judge of what's actually anti-Semitic. And now, if you're a German politician, you can start talking like this. But if you're someone on the street, watch out, or on a stage.
I mean, I think what I do, because I'm just looking at this article on Deutsche Welle about the reaction from Israel, and I think it does make a difference when a conservative German politician makes, because Netanyahu has been very quiet about Merz.
To be very clear, I wouldn't have him take it back.
No.
But if it makes him... Yeah, but then think about what we could have done if we'd had the fucking balls to do this before it needed 50,000, like over 50,000.
Yeah, apparently that was the line that was crossed as 50,000
like
dead people.
That's the thing, and I think
and also just obviously starving the population.
Oh, I just can't even
All right.
Anyway,
so we've got one more bad news thing to do.
Oh, I thought I'd started the good news with the blocking of the deportations. What was the bad? I don't have it on my list.
Family reunification for refugees. Our new Interior Minister, Alexander Dobrindt, has announced that they will be suspending family reunification for refugees on what's called subsidiary protection status. And that means that if you don't meet the criteria for refugee status under the Geneva Convention, but you do face a risk of serious harm in the country of origin, Something including that would include death penalty, torture, inhuman or degrading treatment, or indiscriminate violence.
What the fuck do you need for refugee status?
Well, I mean, I don't.
Okay, never mind. It's not important.
It's a Geneva Convention thing. Look it up in the Geneva Convention. I don't know.
I'm not going to do that. It's fine. I believe you.
So that, and then what normally happens is you get what's called this subsidiary protection from the German authorities, and up until now, not everyone, but 1,000 people a year were allowed to apply for family reunification, which means that you could bring your spouse, partner, children, or brother and sister over if you're already here. And this has been suspended by the new government because obviously they want to keep as many immigrants out as they can. And this is going to have obviously human rights NGOs have said this is going to have a massive problem for integration into the country. This was one of the things that helps people to integrate is when they can bring their families, and it's just going to cause more social problems.
Well, it's basically like it's as good as just saying to these people, don't, they're not going to cook. It's like, what, you got all the way here and then you say, okay, can I bring my, I can't even think about, like, 'cause you think about like your own family and like if you're in that much danger, presumably and then you get here and they're like, no, you can't. And you just have to, what do they think these people are going to do?
Yeah.
Just fucking stay here without their children.
So the NGO Pro Azul said that separation from family can place a huge psychological strain on those affected, and which can have consequences for integration and also irregular immigration. In other words, it encourages more illegal immigration because people are more likely to take the risk. So that is what our new government, centrist government, has decided is a good idea.
I mean, at least they're conservative. Keir fucking Starmer's done the same thing.
Well, the SPD is also in the government, and they are supposed to be left-wing.
Well, that's cool, because it means, presumably what it means is that the AFD in the next polls or the next election are just going to be absolutely wiped out.
Yeah,
that's our plan, isn't it? Because we'll be like, oh, everyone's tough on immigration. Sweet.
Yeah, no one will ever vote for the AFD again.
No one will ever vote for them again.
Good.
Because we'll just normalize all of their policies. So they're more...
Okay. I think you've earned your good news.
Yay!
Shall we get to the good news?
This Megacan is absolutely delicious.
I've already finished it. It's just too small.
I'm really good at pacing myself so that I know how much I have. I usually finish right on the money, on the button.
Oh, good.
On the mark.
Even if you only have 250 milliliters to play with, you got it. It's in your muscle memory. You can feel how much is in the can.
I'm quite good at it.
Okay.
I have even a little bit more. I could shank you some. You want some?
No, it's fine. You finished all yours. It's okay. Right. I've got to cope with as much Megacan as I have been allotted.
I think now would be a good time to make you describe something, explain something incredibly, like when we have to do the Überhang or whatever the fuck it's called.
Which are banned now. They've banned them, but they've got rid of them. They've got rid of them.
No more overhang.
We don't ever have to explain it again. What are the
we'll
overhang
have to find something
on?
else. Geneva Convention, go!
What's the in Geneva? Right.
All of it.
Good news. Good news number one. 4 ex-VW managers have been found guilty of fraud over the diesel test scandal.
Yes.
Dieselgate, you'll recall, is about 10 years ago. And VW was caught putting cheat software in their cars so that the car could tell if it was being tested or if it was actually on a road, and it would emit less diesel fumes, whatever. Nitrous oxide is the gas. I remember
this scandal and not paying attention and thinking that it was way more woolly. Like, they didn't take enough actual.
No.
It's really bad.
They deliberately designed little devices to put in a car so that it could cheat the emissions test, and then they would take it out and it would put it in the road and it would drive around. It was a big scandal in America because a lot of people bought Volkswagens in America thinking they were buying a green car. They thought this
nice
was
German greens. People believe the propaganda about Germany, like they're reliable and good in a crisis.
And four former VW managers have been found guilty of fraud over this, and 2 of them actually have to go to actual prison for several years, which is kind of, they were probably hoping, but white collar crime, will probably get away with a suspended sentence. No. Obviously they're going to appeal and everything, so they're not in prison yet, but the court in Braunschweig has sentenced them to various lengths of time in prison. And what has not happened yet is what's happening to the chief executive, Martin Winterkorn, who has managed to wangle it so that his trial was separated from the rest of the other trials on health grounds. He said he's not doing
Martin.
poor Martin. He's not feeling up to it, and his trial is still being waited for. Probably he'll weasel out of it eventually, but So he's so it's not kind of clear what's happening to the CEO yet.
Well,
but it's a bit of a thing.
And
it took 10 years for this. Yeah,
it took them 10 years. This isn't the good news section, so this is fine. People actually having to do time for white collar crime, I think, is good.
It's cost the company 30 billion euros. This whole thing.
Good.
Apparently. And the other bit of good
news.
news.
That should just shut you down. It should just be
Yeah.
You're done.
Yeah. Well, you can't. Well, yeah. You just shut down VW. I mean,
you can't just pretend. You can't. They made a device to cheat the government, no?
The tests. So they had these tests.
The TÜV.
And the TÜV test. Or
the
TÜV test.
Is it the TÜV? If it had, maybe it wasn't the TÜV. I think it was the TÜV. You'd be getting the same treatment as the...
I know. I mean,
if you've got a cuffie on the street, you'd be... There's just no...
I mean, it's like if you went to take your car to a TÜV and you put a little filter on the back and said,
exactly. Do
fine.
You think that you would still be able to drive that car out, or would they just fucking shut it down? They'd be like, "You're absolutely done.
Yeah.
You are done. Done with cars. I'm taking your license." Okay. More good news?
Yeah, there's been a groundbreaking climate ruling against RWE, the energy giant, the German energy giant.
They're cunts. Why are they still allowed to just roam around
making energy? I don't know. The higher regional court in the town of Hamm, Western Germany.
I don't think that's a real place, but continue.
2 M's, not 1 M. For Hamm fans.
Yeah.
They have decided in a ruling on a civil case brought by a Peruvian mountain guide, Saul Luciano Lulia.
What? Who?
Supported by an NGO called German Watch. He lost his case, but what happened was the judges confirmed that major emitters like RWE can be held liable under German civil law for the consequences of climate change.
Wow. So he brought a case. That case wasn't successful, but they did say we are not throwing this case out on the basis of...
He had a home in Peru which was under flood risk, and he was sued RWE, and he lost because they said that his flood risk was not sufficiently high. Don't know. I wasn't there at the courtroom, but that's what they decided. God. But it confirmed for the first time the principle that major emitters can be held liable under German civil law for risks resulting from climate change, and this suggests that this would open the floodgates, really, because that this means that anyone in the world essentially can sue German energy companies in Germany.
I'm just thinking, okay, maybe all right, listeners, let's put together a class action civil court. It's much easier to get through if O.J. Simpson is anything to go by.
So I can read out a statement from Luciano Luia, the mountain guide.
Yeah.
Today, the mountains have won, he said. My case has shifted the global conversation about what justice means in an era of the climate crisis, and that makes me proud. This ruling shows that the big polluters driving the climate can finally be held legally responsible for the harm they have caused. Christoph Balz of German Rocks says, "We are proud to have supported Saul and the people of Juarez In achieving this important ruling, it sends a powerful message. Pressure on the fossil fuel business model has increased. There you go.
Ding dong. Good
Ding
for
dong.
them.
Yeah.
Honestly, it's so heartening to know that people are like putting their hearts and like that are doing these kinds of things, because it takes an immense amount of commitment and courage and just energy that it is formidable.
No, and it does beg the question: see what would happen in the future. Like, could politicians like, for example, Angela Merkel, be sued in the future for failing to have enforced, the climate targets that they had, the 1.5 degrees, which obviously not going to happen now.
Interesting.
So it does suggest there's been like a change in the attitude.
Yeah.
And the thinking.
Okay.
There's other there are little things like that. Also, there's I read about a part of Brazil where they have given the ocean legal rights. So
I love this.
So the ocean has been recognized as like a person that has the right not to be polluted.
That is 100% what we need to do. Stop giving fucking embryos and fetuses human rights when they're not even a full human, and start being like, this is an actual thing that we all really need and exists by itself.
Yeah. I think the law could be a really powerful weapon in the fight against the climate crisis.
Let's all, seriously, I'm like, what could we get the school kids to do? Like, they could all get Fridays for Future to start, like, bringing a massive case against RAV. No, not RVE.
RWE. Don't ask me what it stands for.
RVE. Really weird energy. All right.
Okay.
Well, thanks for the good news. I don't know if it's just the Megacan.
Have you finished your Megacan? I've run out of news.
I have now, and I've run out of Megacan, so it's time to end.
It's time to end.
Thank you, everyone, for listening.
Thanks very much.
Hope you have a lovely time.
Yes.
Take care of yourselves.
And enjoy the early summer. It's finally warm out.
It's finally warm again, I have to say. We did have 30 degrees in April, which was really fucking weird, but it's fine, because we're going to be able to sue. Get it all back. Claim it all back. Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Take care.
Megacan, German news in English with a cocktail can. The German news, it's quite a test. With Megan's Mega, you're feeling refreshed. Megan's Megacan, German news in English with a cocktail can. Deutsche Nachrichten sind düster und schwer. Down the Mega,
defy the fear.
Yeah.
It's actually it's quite a positive message to give to people.
So.
I like to think that we have quite a positive impact on our listeners.
I hope so.
Because we try and get them to defy the fear of listening to the news all day.
I mean, it's better than reading a German newspaper. Surely.
I would definitely recommend listening to our podcast more than reading any German newspaper.
German newspapers barely have pictures.
No.
Like fucking, it's just a brick of text.
Oh yes. And they seem to make a virtue of it. They think it's like so great to have no text.
Not like you Americans
pictures.
with your fucking
colour pictures.
decadent pictures in your newspapers.
Yeah,
What's that? A crossword puzzle? Oh, no wonder you had Trump. Jesus Christ, everyone! Like, there's a middle ground.
You have to concentrate on the news. It's very important. And you have to like keep it there.
Just have a mega.
Have a mega. Give us a picture every now and then.
Just a wee picture, maybe a, a diagram.